The Chargers have two high-quality edge rushers about to enter unrestricted free agency, and I think it's not crazy to just bring them both back.
You are Locked On Chargers, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Chargers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, and welcome into the Locked On Chargers podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Wade, joined as always by my co-host, David Droegemeier, and we've been covering the Chargers now for 10 seasons, but this is our 8th year as a host of the Locked On Chargers podcast, bringing you your team every day as part of the #1 sports podcast network. David, what do we got today?
Daniel, it's Stay or Go Part 2, switching things over to the defensive side, and this one was a whole lot more fun because the defense was really, really good last year. And of course, we headline this with the pair of edge rushers, Khalil Mack and Odafe Oweh, and it's very easy to want to bring both of those guys back. Then going up to the secondary, Tony Jefferson was phenomenal last year, just always in the right place at the right time. Got to bring the Unk back, and I think it is probably the end of the road for Denzel Perryman.
Yeah, it does seem like that at this point, even though the Chargers linebacker room right now still has some pretty big question marks. But when it comes to stay or go for the defensive side of things here, David, as we get into it today, it was a lot more fun to do the defensive side than it was the offensive side, which felt like, to me, a mostly go show. And today it was a lot harder to find guys that you'd be so easily ready to let walk to go find other chances elsewhere, because obviously the Chargers defense was good, but a huge reason for that, and one of the big things that got unlocked during the back half of the season, was the trio of edge rushers the Chargers had between Tuli Tuipulotu, Odafe Oweh, who they traded for, and Khalil Mack. And now, unfortunately, you have two of those three going into unrestricted free agency. The other one's up for an extension, and we'll see what happens with that. But I do think that it's in the Chargers' best interest, David, even with a 35-year-old Khalil Mack, even with an Odafe Oweh that's probably going to cost a pretty penny, and we can start with his numbers, but the best option is to try to keep both of them.
Oh, it absolutely is. And especially when you have a new defensive coordinator that is, really kind of starting his career as a coordinator at the NFL level, only after, being a coordinator in college for 1 year. He is going up to the big show, right? Where you were playing against the best of the best in the NFL. You want to know what a best friend of a new defensive coordinator is? A really, really good pass rush. And so that obviously is why the Chargers should do everything they can to bring back Khalil Mack and Odafe Oweh, because that pass rush, it makes people money, and it was part of one of the best pass rushes in the NFL the past couple of seasons.
Well, and it really elevated what they had on the back end, right? What you'd have in the secondary feels like you don't have to add as much to it if you can keep the pass rush that helped them become, probably collectively one of the worst NFL opposing passer ratings against any team in the league, just because they were so good together. I mean, you're looking at, RJ Mickens with a 12.1 passer rating allowed. We'll get Tony Jefferson, under 40. It was crazy what this team was able to do collectively, and a lot of that had to do with the pass rush. And the more important of these two, even with what Khalil Mack's brought to the table, is Odafe Oweh. And I think it's obviously the youth that has something to do with it. You also traded a 5th-round pick for him. You have to try to keep him if you can.
And he's in the prime of his career. He's 27 years old, coming off of a fantastic campaign with the Chargers. After struggling to start the year with the Baltimore Ravens, he gets traded to the Chargers and it makes an immediate impact, getting a sack in his very first game back, or very first game with the Chargers. And that, eventually went to a 7.5 sack season with 47 pressures. He was 15th in win percentage at 16.4. And he also had a monster playoff game where he had 3 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. Odafe Oweh is the type of edge rusher that the Chargers have really missed out on, haven't had in a very long time. Just a guy that's very long, very athletic, can really get to the quarterback, and I think it's just a really natural complement to what Tuli Tuipulotu brings to the table.
Yeah, I think stylistically it's a great fit with Tuli Tuipulotu long term, and he really started to heat up down the stretch, not only in that playoff game, but he had 4+ pressures in 4 of his last 6 games to end out his season. Now, what is it going to cost? Daniel Popper, who I really trust the most with these kind of things as far as being able to evaluate and project what these contracts are going to be, has Odafe Oweh as his 12th ranked free agent and his valuation is 4 years, $88 million, which is $22 million per season. Something we talked a lot about actually before when we were talking about Tuipulotu, kind of getting that George Karlaftis deal. Not the top cream of the crop, elite edge rushers, but the next kind of tier down, and maybe that is where Odafe Oweh is at this point. Yeah, I'd be willing to pay that. That doesn't seem crazy to me. That's not, the 30 to 40 that we've seen them give up in the years past for guys that are even older than this, because guess what? It works with him. That's the great thing. You can go sign all these other free agents and project what they can be on your team. You know what you have with Odafe Oweh on your team, and I think that's a hugely important part of this. You also know what he looks like across from Tuipulotu. And the other thing is like, as far as a comp pick goes, like if he leaves and ends up getting a comp pick, that helps soften the blow. But you're not going to get an Odafe Oweh with whatever 5th round pick you get back, or a 4th round
it's a lottery pick
too.
too
when you get back. You're not getting a 1st round compensatory pick back, which can replace his production. Realistically, you're talking about 1st round types of players, right? You maybe get a 3rd, but probably a 4th or a 5th. You have a chance to recoup your 5th, but at the same time, you'd much rather have the guy you already know is good and pay him, if it is that number, a reasonable sum, a reasonable amount in my opinion. But at the same time, you start looking in Khalil Mack, right, who's also on the list of Daniel Popper's top 150 free agents, is projected to make another $18 million this year, which means between the two of those guys, David, we talked about all this cap space the Chargers have. You're talking about cutting $40 million into it, right, with these two signings. Do you have him also as a stay?
I do. I do have him as a stay, and it's really because he's still such a solid all-around edge rusher, a guy that can really control the edge. He had the 8th highest run defensive grade in the NFL. He was really good. I mean, he was 32 tackles, had six tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks, a 15.7% pressure rate. He was 28th in win percentage at 14.1, which was right behind Max Crosby, minimum 250 pass rushing snaps. 39 pressures. Yeah, he missed a couple of games because of the elbow injury, but when he came back, he came back and he was still very impactful. It's just there's not many guys that have a bull rush like Khalil Mack has, a guy that can really control the edge and really not let people he manhandles people still at this point in his career. And if he wants to play, if he still has that burning desire to play, then you want to bring him back. And I think you do something similar that you did last year, which is, an $8 million signing bonus and $10 million base salary. If that's what it is, then sign me up right now. It's a stay.
Yeah, and I wonder if it'll be 18 again, right? Like, this is the thing. I mean, when he got 18 last time, you have to think that part of that is thinking or hoping that you're getting close back to that 2023 production that he had in his 17 sack season. So when he was coming off of, a 6-sack year where he still played in almost every game and, had way less production just from a numerical standpoint, right? The counting stats that people care about.
Yeah.
You're still willing to give him the 18 because you're like, hey, you're only 1 season removed from putting up 17 sacks, which is just insane. Now you're 2 years removed from that. Now you're another year older, right, when you're getting into this contract. So I wonder if that's the number. That's all, right? Like, because the thing is about a 1-year contract is, if they give Odafe Oweh $22 million a year, it'll probably only be about 15 to 17 in the first year, right? With the way that they'll massage the number. So you give 18 million, you're taking that on the chin, in 1 year. There's not as much flexibility unless you're giving something heavily incentivized, which is not what you're going to do for Khalil Mack, right? Like, you're going to guarantee his contract to get him to come back. Talked about this before with him. 2023, obviously, 17 games, 17 sacks, 88 pressures. The last 28 games over the last 2 years, 11.5 sacks, 88 pressures. He's slowing down. At the same time, even as I'm saying, he's further away from it, he's absolutely worth $18 million a year. He just is, right? And I hope it doesn't cost that. I hope he wants to stick around, and I hope that he thinks the Chargers are the team he can not even ring chase with, playoff victory chase with, because he just needs one. He's never won a playoff game.
Him and Justin Herbert both.
Yeah, exactly. And he's been doing it, obviously, a lot longer. So, did miss 5 games last year. It doesn't bother me because of how freakish it was. It was a very fluky kind of incident in that Raiders game where he just comes down and, lands the wrong way. And sometimes it's like that, right? But it's a lot less concerning than if you had, 2 separate hamstring injuries that ended up costing him 5 games separately, right? And you're seeing a pattern. It's a lot different. You feel like you're going to get very similar production. He brings an identity to this defense. He brings a physicality and a ruggedness to this defense.
A presence.
And the trio of him and Thule and Odafe Oweh to keep each other fresh, to complement what they do well. Yeah, run it back for this year if you can, right? And then, you're raising the ceiling and the floor of this defense if you just bring those two guys back, even if it costs you a bunch. But we still have more to get into, including why Tony Jefferson should definitely back in the building in 2026 and more in today's Locked On Chargers podcast. Welcome to the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft. We're looking at every aspect of the draft to let you know which tasty flavors are the best and which ones just might be sleepers. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and only one is going to take the top spot, but 5-Hour Energy has a wide variety of flavors, something for everyone, and it gives you a boost with zero sugar. One of the best limited time ones they have going, Cinco de Mango, a little spice to really give you that jump start. But if I'm talking about number one overall pick, talking about one, I'm going with the birthday cake. I'm a sucker for birthday cake. It would be really hard for me not to take the confetti craze with the number one pick with a great birthday cake flavor. Notes of vanilla frosting without any of the sugar guilt. But if I had a sleeper, I'd go Hawaiian Breeze, that you can actually taste the breeze with passion fruit, guava, and orange flavors that hit so smooth. Find your new favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position that you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for, skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping that the right candidate falls into your lap. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes. And you can do that. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. David, we still have more to get into on this defensive stay or go show, and thank you to the everydayers out there for making us your first listen today. You guys can get involved because we are planning on at least doing a Fan Mail Friday show for tomorrow, so make sure you're trying to get on that by hitting us up on social media. And hey, if it doesn't fit in the main show, maybe it'll be the bonus episode your question shows up on. So thank you guys as always. Let's get to this next batch of defenders, David, and I think another easy decision for me because we had to talk about Tony Jefferson, friend of the show, but most importantly, just a damn good player in 2025. Is he coming back in 2026?
100%, and no more of the games. I said it before, and I will reiterate myself once again. His performance this year, he absolutely flat out earned a contract extension. If you look at what his passer rating allowed was, it's just about how old he was. 34.5, which is ridiculously good. He had 4 interceptions, 7 passes defensed, was only penalized 1 time. Very smart, very instinctual player, always in the right place at the right time. Miraculous interceptions. Most of those were like unbelievable, and a lot of other players wouldn't have had the body control to be able to complete those. Like, just quite frankly, and I just love the way he plays the game. Just fast, physical, and he has a presence out there. And he's a leader on and off the field. It's an easy stay for me. He earned it, he deserves it, and he absolutely should get it.
Yeah, Popper has his contract projection is 2 years, $10 million. I would do that. He's talking about playing a couple more years. I think that's fine with me. Probably only about $3 or $4 million. If it really is a disaster, you'll give yourself a chance to get out of it next year if you need to, right? I mean, neither do I. But I'm just saying, like, you give a 2-year contract out, you're almost always going to be able to get out of that in the second year.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the ripcord.
As far as the risk goes in signing him to a 2-year deal, you can mitigate that a little bit for someone who is 35, but also showed that he has gas in the tank, right?
Yeah.
Infectious energy, great role model for young players, brings a level of physicality that is a tone setter for the defense. Also, Let's not forget about those big hits that he had. One that even got him ejected from a game That was honestly pretty borderline
Absolutely
to me,
ridiculous, too.
To add on to what you said, 7th in forced incompletion percentage, lowest yards per catch allowed in the league, 20th out of 94 in completion percentage allowed, tied for 4th in the NFL amongst cornerbacks in interception. Partially flawed because he, came forward and said, hey, one of those Houston Texans long touchdowns is my fault, and that's not attributed to him in this because it says he didn't give up a touchdown. So we know it's a little bit flawed there, but the numbers match the eye test in this case because Tony Jefferson was hugely impactful. Good dude, and more importantly, just a really good player, and it feels like the type of player that you will find on Super Bowl type teams or guys like Tony Jefferson and what he brings to the table. So let's get to this next one here, David, who was a questionable signing when it happened, and I had a hard time saying, or potentially even letting him go. The next guy on the list is Benjamin St. Juste, the cornerback who came in with some of the worst grades we had seen from any free agent addition. All he did was completely turn that around and, is the latest rebound case for this Chargers defense rehabilitating careers.
Yeah, I was not excited about this move whatsoever. And if you look at the stats that he accumulated before this year, you would understand why. He just wasn't good. It just wasn't good. This past year, he was really good. A lot better than you would have ever expected. The 77.1 coverage grade, good for 8th out of 114 qualified cornerbacks. 37 tackles, only one missed tackle on the sheet. That is spectacular. A very, very sure tackler. 7 passes defensed, snagged an interception, a passer rating allowed of only 64, and a reception percentage allowed of only 50%. They said that he excelled in zone coverage. The Chargers put him in zone coverage a lot, and they were rewarded for doing so. If they continue that vision with him, it's a stay for me. I don't think it's going to be a whole lot of money. I think it's a nice bounce back. He'll earn a little bit more than he earned last year. But I think for me, like you can reasonably expect to see similar production. So I think it's a stay.
And I think if you're incentivized to do it, because I don't know if the one season he just had, especially only playing about 350 snaps, is going to be enough to get him the big contract he's probably hoping for. But I think at this point, he's honestly a little bit better at doing what Cam Hart is supposed to do than Cam Hart is at this point. So I think having both of those guys together, those two big-bodied matchup type of guys that you can put out there and know will have success in this defense. Yeah, I mean, bring him back to me. I think to your point, the difference between him and Tariq Still and Dante Jackson, who are also super impressive, right, is the run defending ability, right? The fact that he was 7th ranked grade out of 112 cornerbacks in tackling this year, 37th in run defense grade. You'll find Tariq Still better this year, but still down the list, and Dante Jackson darn near the bottom of that list. He's not brought in to tackle. He's there to, get 4 interceptions. And
that's what he does.
Chase and get that Christian Fulton type of deal. I don't think it'll be that lucrative at this point because he just played so little last year.
Yeah.
But man, I know people think the Chargers really need a corner. Like if you can keep the pass rush in the corners that you had right now and the depth you have there, especially since Derwin James plays mostly in the slot anyways, right? Yeah, I'm keeping him. Another guy I'm keeping. Let's get to one more quickly here. A guy who's been around for a little while, former 7th round pick, cornerback Dean Leonard. David, is he a stay or go for you as a guy who's been mostly a special teams player?
Yeah, so for me, I liked Dean Leonard, and I think for his career, he carved out a nice role for himself. But unfortunately, he's missed a lot of time in his NFL career. He only played 8 games this past season, only 36 total snaps on defense. Most of that special teams, 171 snaps on special teams, played on 5 of the 6 special teams coverage units, but he's missed at least 6 games in each of the last 3 seasons. And for me, for that type of production, it can be replaced. It's replaceable for me, and I need somebody that can be more durable, that can be on the football field, and it just can't be trusted. So for me, this is my first go of the show.
Yeah, I mean, he's your primary gunner, right, on the punt teams. Like, that is an important position. Like, if Ryan Fickham wants to stand on the table and bring it back, whatever. But, like, at the same time, you're right. Like, you can't rely on it, right? And we saw the special teams take a huge hit because guys like him were out, because you were missing guys like Del'Shawn Phillips for most of the offseason. Yeah, hasn't played more than 11 games since his rookie year in 2022. And it sucks because he was one of those guys, David, that, was our most improved player at one point in the preseason, balling out. Felt like every time he actually got a chance in the game, he was pretty decent, right? Including the Houston Texans playoff loss where he picked off C.J. Stroud on the sideline in that game. Forced into action. At the same time, a non-factor on defense, played 7% of the defensive snaps, and most of that was just because he got, the cleanup duty in Week 18 against the Broncos when the starters weren't playing. So I think you can probably find someone to do this. Hopefully he gets a chance somewhere else and can stay healthy. But it's basically mostly health. I thought he was a good player for them.
Yeah.
But I think you could just have, to re-sign and give a second contract to Dean Leonard wouldn't make a ton of sense to me at this point. But we still have more to get into, including why this could be the end for one of the last San Diego Chargers, Denzel Perryman. We're going to talk about him and more on today's Locked On Chargers podcast.
Hey, it's Matt Derry from the Locked On Lions podcast. The people I love depend on me. If I'm gone, the financial responsibilities don't disappear. I didn't want my family figuring things out during the hardest moment of their lives. That's why I knew only one place to go. I chose life insurance through my friends at Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. I love the folks at Ethos. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get the free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. That is ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Application times and rates may vary.
David, we still have some more buy or sells to get into on the defensive side here, and I don't think it's much of a surprise how things have gone so far because let's look at the season, right? Like, you had a bad offense and a really good defense. It feels like if you can have a good defense again and get a lot better offensively, you're talking about a team who can contend for a Super Bowl. So I don't think there's any kind of surprise that we were trying to keep it as intact as
I want to
possible.
buy all the defensive players, and I want to sell most of the offensive players.
Exactly. Like, there's no surprise there, and it's within reason, right? Because when you have a great defense, guys are going to go get paid and probably price themselves out. But we do have to talk about one here who's in his second stint with the Chargers, got the deal last season to come back. But this year, I'm not as sure about it. It's Denzel Perryman, Chargers linebacker, drafted in the second round to this team. Has obviously bounced around a little bit, has made his way back, and has helped, I think, with the identity that Jim Harbaugh wants to bring as a defense, a physical defense, a hard-hitting defense. He can still bring some of that with the stopping power. But, David, is this it? Has it reached its final landing spot with Denzel Perryman? Because as we're doing this stay or go, I was finding it a little bit harder to keep him around this time.
Yeah, it's really tough, obviously, because, it's easy to like Denzel Perryman, just a very energetic, magnetic type of personality, and a guy that you just enjoy watching to play football. When he's on the field, he's a difference maker, man. When he squares people up, he puts them in the dirt every single time. Very consistent when he's able to square them up. But that was one of the big problems this past year is the missed tackle percentage was very, very high. And the thing is with Denzel, he's going to miss time. It's just part of kind of who he was at towards the back end of his career, 5 or more games missed in 4 straight seasons. And also, I think to me, I really like Marla Wax, and I feel like he has a lot of the same traits as what Denzel brings to the table. And I think, he's kind of been waiting for his opportunity to try to go prove it. And I think that might be one of the reasons why, also coupled with the fact that Denzel's a pensioned NFL player at this point, over 10 years in the league, 11 years. I've really enjoyed watching him play, but I think this is the end of the road for Denzel Perryman. I think it is a go.
Yeah, and I agree with you. He is getting older. He does the main thing is just the health, honestly, man. Even he has some liabilities in coverage, right? He did put himself in a couple of chances this year to make some plays more than we've expected from him. Dropped an easy one, Denzel.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're right. I mean, the missed tackles with those short arms are always going to be part of it. He was actually a little bit better this year than he was last year. I think it was his lowest missed tackle percentage since 2021. But at the same time, it's just he's not out there, and you can't keep kind of bringing him back to play 12 games. And I mean, he hasn't played more than 12 games since 2021. So You can't do it with the injuries and stuff, especially basically at this point when it feels like any time you re-sign him, you're signing up for 12 games at most at this point. And the way he plays the game with how physical of a style he brings, it's hard to have faith that it's going to be better than what it has been. But like Denzel, one of my favorite, Chargers linebackers, just as far as, the positive energy brought to the team, the type of style that he played with. But yeah, let's get to another one though. A linebacker I'd probably be a little closer to keeping. That's Del'Shawn Phillips. And I'm a full-blown stay on this one. Actually, it's not that, crazy to me. One of the best special teams players in the NFL this year. Thought he played okay even when he got some defensive snaps. But to me, it's, hey, bring this dude back. He was a major reason why the special teams the second half of the season got so much better.
All of the best teams in the NFL have a special teams ace on the roster. This is the ace for the Chargers. 22 special teams tackles, second to only Devon Key in the NFL. That's it. That's all I got to say. It's a stay, period. Let's move on.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is the last 8 games of the year, he had 13 special teams tackles. So, I think he helped revive a coverage unit that was really struggling. And I feel like there were several games where you're like, hey, multiple times on kickoff specifically,
you're hearing his name.
Coverage, where it's like you're seeing him drop somebody at like the 26-yard line and just, stopping them right there. So I think, what he brings to the table. He can be serviceable in an emergency role if you have to put him out there. Big stay for me. I would be surprised if this isn't a guy that, Ryan Ficken is standing on the table for to try to bring back. But let's get to another important player on the 2025 defense, and that is Da'Shawn Hand, whose brother has become quite a joy to follow on Twitter. I will say that, right? Even giving out a little tidbits of inside information at times. But a really likable guy, and then his brother played very well for the Chargers in 2025. Is he a stay or a go for you, though, in 2026?
Yeah, he's a stay for me. 451 snaps, was part of the defensive line rotation, 29 tackles, had 17 pressures and 1.5 sacks. Was one of the better pass rushing defensive linemen on the team behind Justin Eboigbe. Also had 4 passes defensed and 3 batted passes, which is very, very effective. It's so important to have those type of plays because it frustrates the heck out of opposing quarterbacks. And you just need guys that can do that. It's not always about getting to the quarterback. It's about affecting the quarterback. And Da'Shawn Hand found a way to do that in a couple of different ways this past season. It is a stay for me.
Yeah, I would like to keep him. I was somewhat surprised to see him 66th on Popper's free agent rankings, though. And I don't know if they're going to be able to afford him if his contract is what Popper thinks it is, because he has it at 2 years, $15 million. So if you're spending $40 million on your edge rushers, if you're spending another, 12 plus on Teair Tart, I don't know if you can spend another, 7 to 8 on Da'Shawn Hand, especially because even though the batted passes were great and you love that, right? It's such an added stat that should add to your pass rush numbers and the production you have there.
Yeah.
But he was better as a run defender than he was as a pass rusher. And I mean, as a pass rusher, with the minimum, 200 pass rushing snaps, or I think in his case, he might've been a little bit less, but 84th out of 97 in pass rush grade as far as interior defensive lineman, 88th in win percentage. So if the market doesn't go crazy, I would take him back. But I do think when you have Jamar Caldwell, when you have Teair Tart locked up the next 3 years, what I'm really looking for is someone that's going to add to the pass rush and be kind of a guy inside. So Da'Shawn Hand, I would happily take him back. If that's going to be the market, though, I think I would maybe try to lean towards someone whose specialty isn't run defense and can bring a little bit more to that interior pass rush. One more here we'll get into quickly. Former drafted by Tom Telesco Charger, Tito Abonia, former 4th-round pick. Stay or go for the last of the defense today, David?
He can't stay on the field. He's missed 9+ games in 3 out of the 4 seasons. It's a go. Bye. Sorry. See you later.
Oh my gosh. We watched him grow from a young man, David, and this is how short you are with him. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think more importantly, he wasn't very good. He just never, really caught on. You're talking about a guy who didn't record a snap according to Pro Football Focus, a non-half sack in 4 seasons is what Tito Abonia was able to do. So 29 total pressures and 488 career pass rushing snaps, which is 5.9% pressure rate, which is not very good. Thought he was fine as a run defender. I think that's kind of what they thought of him. Big, long arms, big body in the middle of the defense during the Brandon Staley era, but has only played more than 9 games one time in his entire career. just not going to do it. And I think to use a roster spot on him again, and he was a cut candidate for me last year, and everyone kind of thought I was crazy for that one. And it was a lot because of this, but also like you're talking about a few years in the draft where you're taking guys like him and Scott Matlock and other guys that just don't end up working out on the defensive line, right? So, yeah, Tito Ogbonnia is a go. Hopefully we can catch on somewhere else. Never root against former Chargers unless you're Jerry Tillery. So he's not Jerry Tillery, and so hoping that he finds some success elsewhere as long as it's outside the division. But yeah, just never really caught on. It was more of just kind of a body, low on the rotation defensive tackle, and I just don't think he makes you better or that you should spend free agent dollars on him. So that's going to wrap things up for today's show. But the good news is tomorrow is Fan Mail Friday, so we're going to get you guys involved. So make sure you hit us up with your Chargers questions at Locked On LAC on Twitter, at Locked On Chargers on Instagram, and our Locked On Chargers Facebook page, as well as calling into the voicemail line at 323-524-7924 and giving us your 30-second Chargers question there. But the best way to never miss the show is subscribing and following for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listening wherever you get your podcast from, especially because most days right now we're putting out 2 shows a day. I hope everyone has been enjoying those bonus shows, and we're going to keep those going throughout the offseason and just probably forever now at this point. But if you want a little more, you can do that now with the Locked On Everydayer Club, where you can get an ad-free audio version of this podcast for $5 a month. In the show notes, you can find out all about it, but you also get exclusive access to the Locked On Chargers Discord channel, which we're building. So a lot of fun, a little extra. As you know, we're going to bring you at least 5 shows, closer to 10 shows a week now for free, 5 days a week, as we always are. But make sure you guys are back here tomorrow for Fan Mail Friday. Hit us up. But until then, take it easy and go Bolts.